Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast. This is Cool Kev.
And this is I Will Fall Asleep to This Music Pretty Soon, Mike.
Welcome, everybody, to the Real Deal Fishing Podcast. We're just having a little bit of fun with little StreamYard tunes there. That one's called uh, Into Space. Or was it Feeding the Ducks? I can't remember now. Let's click on it
Yeah,
again.
yeah, click on them.
Which one? Yeah, it's called Feeding the Ducks.
Feeding
Does this
ducks. All
Does this
right.
sound like feeding the ducks?
We would actually do that quite a bit. We would go to the cemetery, visit our sister's grave and all our other loved ones' graves, and we would feed the ducks in the pond
Well,
at
now
the
you have
cemetery.
music to listen to while you do it.
And there was always a family of swans there, which everybody thought was special. And those things are big.
Yeah, swans are huge.
Yeah, those are big.
Well, everybody, obviously we are a little bit behind on our podcast release, but after CatCon, we had some. I had a difficult week, and then this week's been difficult, so we just kind of took a little break. I don't know about you, Mike, but I've taken a break from YouTube pretty much for 2 weeks now, other than going live one night, live fishing. But after CatCon, I was on YouTube overload, and I just needed a brain break. You ever been in that situation where you just need to clear everything out and just reset,
I
whether
think
it's
so.
YouTube or not? But
Yes, I think so. Absolutely. It's very
yeah.
healthy.
So yeah, I just took a little reset, and I think I'm almost ready to get back in. I was ready to go fishing again today, um, but the weather didn't cooperate. So
Yep, nobody
yeah,
beats Mother Nature.
yeah, nobody beats her. 15-mile an
Nobody.
hour winds, and we started off at 75 degrees this morning, and now we're at I think 32, something like that.
That's
So
not a good day.
no, so the wind itself on Lake Moultrie, as everybody's probably heard, is you don't play with Lake Moultrie on Santee Cooper when the wind blows like that. But anyway, y'all, we just want to thank you for listening. Um, the website is going away for a little while, so I won't prop the website. I didn't get a chance to talk to Mike about that, but
Oh,
we do have a merch store that we'll put the link on Facebook and in the description of our YouTube video, so you can go check that out. But the website's going away with the YouTube refresh. I kind of had to reanalyze the finances for the channel there, and the revenue just isn't enough to support uh, a full fledged website. And if you've ever done one, those things are kind of expensive. But anyway, well, I'll get the stickers up and everything. And those of you who are on the Boom Squad, you'll be getting some stickers soon. We'll be mailing those out to those of you who didn't get them at CatCon. We got an awesome show. We got a unique question. Mike's got a unique question for us to answer. And, it's kind of something that everybody dreams of, isn't it, Mike?
I think most people dream of it. The the week usually includes Kevin and I talking about what are we going to talk about when we're on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we always consider our own personal thoughts. We consider what we're going through at the time or what we're
Mm-hmm.
preparing for at the time. And even though I am preparing to actually legitimately fish in the next 3 days,
Woohoo!
for whatever reason, this one idea just stuck in my head. And I figured I would throw it to Kevin and see if he thought that it would be any fun. And some of my ideas are great, some of them not so great. But here's what's been sticking in my head, everybody. If you won the Powerball, what would you do? Now, Kevin and I
Mm.
were discussing this. Obviously, there's several details to this that
Yeah.
could cause us to react differently.
Hmm.
So, in all fairness, we're going to say that you've won the Powerball. We're not going to say that it's some mega outrageous, insane, like you're going to go buy your own island and live
Hmm.
separately kind of number. Now, in my world, I try to pay attention to every dollar that's in my pocket. So $20 is a big deal to me. So let's just say that you've won, I don't know, somewhere in the range of like 20 to $50 million in the Powerball. I know
Wow,
that's a lot.
that's
I
a
know
big
it's a
number.
lot, but that's what I had in mind. I didn't think,
Hmm.
like 800 million. I thought like, 20 to 50.
Hmm.
You win one of the small ones.
And we're gonna answer this question based on just fishing, right? Like we're not gonna talk about everything, or do we want to just set aside 10 million for our personal finances and houses and all that stuff?
Well, I don't think that I could even spend that much money anyway. That's just the amount is so big.
So
To
basically,
answer
we're
your
just
question,
saying we're just saying like money's no object
yeah,
at
money's
this
no
point.
object. Let's get past the initial stuff.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, you'll pay whatever bills you
we're
got.
not working
You're gonna
anymore.
take care, yeah, I'm not going back to work. Um,
Early retirement.
I'm gonna find out anything that my brother and my sister and especially my mom want. You're gonna take care of your family however you
Right, right,
want to,
right,
things of that nature for
right.
sure. So, and then we start thinking, hey, we got an opportunity here to live the dream.
Hmm.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
right, Kevin. That's what I mean.
So we've
So what
already done all the adult stuff that we need
yeah,
to do.
okay.
We've donated to our charities. We've paid off our bills. We've taken care of mama and family and everybody like that. Now it's time for us. Now it's time. Whatever's left over, money's no object, and we're gonna get whatever fishing stuff we want. Correct?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. What's your
I'll go
first
first.
thought, Kevin?
My
What's the
first
first
thought
thing you do?
First thought is I definitely want several different boats because you got several different fishing options. I live out here on the coast in South Carolina, so offshore fishing is a big deal around here. So I would definitely have a nice offshore fishing boat to that can handle, a week out on the water, good out, plenty of fuel, plenty of capacity to keep things, water and showers and toilets and all that jazz. And you know, spend the money on a boat, definitely get the rods and reels, all the salt. So basically I would have a saltwater setup. Now, back to my roots where I am now. I think that we would be definitely living in a houseboat, but uh but but I think, we were so I was in a chat the other day, or I think it was last night, and I wasn't yeah, it was last night, and that was the first chat I participated in all for like 2 weeks. And they were talking about Sea Arc boats, and I don't think I would do that. I would buy a 25-foot Tritoon with a 350 horsepower Suzuki engine on the back. I would have a hard top that covers the half of the boat at least.
Mhm.
And in the back, we would have, some luxurious couches, a nice shade, maybe a fridge on there, mini fridge, and a bait cleaning station, big Yeti ice chests, you know, all that luxury right there. And then up front, it's wide open with a full line of monster rod holders, three or four 10-foot drift socks, because a big boat that big, you're going to need to slow it down. So yeah, I would get me a nice Tritoon that's fast. The biggest trailer I could get, 4 or 5 axle trailers, so I could take it around with me. Obviously, I'd need a nice truck to pull it with. Maybe a big dually. Because money's no option. I know gas is expensive right now, but hey, I don't. I'm rich. I don't need to worry about that diesel. So that's just the initial thing I would do. I would get my saltwater set up, get all that gear ready to go, have me a slip in the harbor for the boat. I don't ever have to pull it out of the water. Go down, jump on it, go out offshore, and then inshore, I would still want to do YouTube. I would still want to travel around and fish with everybody. So I'd need a trailer, a boat, and a truck that could do it all. What about you? What's your first thing?
I came up with this question and I knew I was going to ask you,
Mm-hmm.
and I really haven't made a list at like actually written it down. So I'm trying to write down as we're going here. The first thing that I would do is I would buy a resort
Mm.
on one of our favorite lakes here in Iowa. And with no intentions of running it myself. Now, I would give the option of running that resort to a few of my family members. Now, that being said, it wouldn't be like free reign. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely look over the business plans and the necessities for this because it's not going to turn into a circus show. It wouldn't just then be translated into a resort for our family members only.
Mm-hmm.
I would want it to be a successful business to where other people would still get to go there and enjoy the resort. Our family members would, probably not be enough to run it all. We would definitely have to have a staff, and I would, improve upon it, whatnot. So it would be still a successful business that didn't change from what it previously was. Like let's say the Smiths and the Joneses had
Mm-hmm.
taken their families there every single year. It's not going to change now. They're still going to
Mm-hmm.
get to do that.
Such a
And
nice guy.
it's not going to be just some spot where all my family can show up and vacation and fish rent free and this and that, and then the Smiths and the Joneses can't show up and their family traditions have been ruined. Because we do run into several similar families when we go to these places. Like, yeah, we do this every year. It's like, hey, we do too. So I want that feeling to remain, but that would
Mm.
be the first thing I would do.
That gave me a good idea. Your idea gave me an idea.
Ooh,
Thinking about now, Mike, you and I have friends that fish all across the country.
yes, we do.
I think that I would budget a line item every year to help people out to have a meet and greet on a different lake each year.
Ooh,
So maybe it's like, a fall, a nice fall weekend, maybe, you know, early, mid September, late September. Uh, maybe we can do like Lake Wheeler or Lake Gadsden, Lake Texoma, the James River. We could have a meet and greet there every year, but move it around. And so we'd have a line item each year where I would rent out the facility, you know, definitely find a place like, whether it's a hotel or it's a resort like you were talking about, and people can bring their families and just stay. Like, they pay for their own food and they pay for their own bait and stuff, but bring your rods, bring your boat if you want, bring your family, and the lodging is free. But everything else, you get there. So that'd be something cool, and we could have something every year to where our friends that we talk to online across the nation, could have a, and if they have to fly in, so like let's say that Lisa like fishing chicks in Arizona, and or Chris Flores in New Mexico, and Uncle Jeep's in Arizona, you know, maybe we can have a flight budget for the if we pick a location that's somewhere where people have to fly. I mean, money's no object, right? I mean, we got 20 mil.
absolutely.
I think that would be cool. And then it would just be a fishing trip. And so, because a lot, I'm not complaining, but at CatCon, I didn't really get to talk to a lot of people because I was running around the first day. And then the second day, either people didn't show up or they were tired or, you know, they were doing stuff, and I still had to work also.
Yep.
So I think it'd be cool to have just a weekend where we can just fish and talk, and whether it's talking YouTube or, you know, actually talking about fishing or life in general. Because I believe there's, our group of people have a lot of things in common beyond fishing. And I just like to get to know more people and do that. Do life with people, you know?
Absolutely. Well, I'm really happy that my number one influenced your number two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Spending my money, Mike.
I I have the habit of doing that. I definitely do. My number two would be to pick and choose a few different companies that are in the fishing industry and invest in them because some companies need that and they probably would never talk to you about it because they would never think that you would be the one to invest in them. But hey, I just won the Powerball.
Mm,
And while those people who come at you because you now have this new fresh money, I guarantee you that the ones that you'd want to invest in probably wouldn't do that.
mm,
But now I'm in a different position and I would like to make life a little bit easier and give those businesses a chance to thrive because we have friends who are in these positions and they still have other jobs and they're
mm,
still trying to run their small business and give it a good shot. Honestly, I think that even a small amount of money could improve that drastically. You know, like you said, a website costs money. What if I, agree to provide that?
mm,
And
mm,
some people need a little bit more space or just a little bit more capital
mm,
to make an investment that may actually positively impact their company exponentially.
mm,
But, maybe other potential investors around their area are not really in tune with that. They're like, "Nah, I'll just keep building houses.
right.
I'm not. I don't believe in your product. I don't
Mm,
believe in you. This and that." Well, I'm the guy. I oftentimes see little bait shops that to me are just incredible, and a few years later, they're gone.
mm,
And I'm like, "Man, that's sad," but and I'm not saying that I know business as well as other people know business, but I do know that my second thing would be, you know, number 1, I invested in myself and my own family in a creative way.
mm,
Number 2, I wanna invest in others.
mm. That's cool, man. Like, would you start out with small businesses, or, is it just, as you see them?
Um,
Or do you
yeah,
have like one in mind that you would
it
start
it
off
would
with?
probably be smaller.
Mhm,
I guess I look at businesses and I think, "Yeah, they don't need my money." Or I look at
mhm,
this other one and I'm like, they could if they had a big push, I bet this could be crazy cool, and I realize that's probably not the smartest way to look at anything, but hey, people, that's how I look at it. So I could be that
mm,
guy who wins the Powerball and 10 years
mhm,
later be back at work, I guess maybe.
mhm.
This is the road we're going down on my side of this list.
All right, number 3 for me, um, I think that I would want to, so Patriot James had to cancel his tournament, and I think that I would like to bankroll small tournaments. And what I mean by that is like the Camp Centurion tournament. He was worried that he wouldn't have enough people to fish it, so there wouldn't be much of a donation. So to ensure that would happen, what I would want to do is to pay for tournament fees, tournament costs. So whatever it cost him to set up, banners printed, donations, to rent, get permits, whatever. I would pay for all that, and that's really not that much. You know, it's really not a terrible amount, but it's enough to where it impacts the tournament. And so then, I would definitely want to do matching funds for those charity tournaments, like whatever the donations were, you know, I would match the donations to help out, to really make sure that people stay inspired to do things like that. I think life is tough, and I've experienced it my own. When things don't go right, you get down, and especially when you're doing things where you don't get recognition for. Being a teacher, from the teaching world, we don't expect recognition and we don't really need it. But uh, when people come down on you instead of giving you recognition, that's when it really, you know, takes the wind out of your sails. So I imagine it's the same way for people who do charity work. They don't want recognition. They just want this charity to thrive. But then when they get beat down so much by the world or by people, they kind of lose their drive to do it. So, not that money would fix everything, but typically most of the reasons that those things don't happen is because there's no funding for it. So, I think that would be a good one to do. Um, not just Patriot James tournaments, but like Robbie had his junior diabetes tournament. Helping him with that. And this is small change, for a person that has millions of dollars, but it's something that would make a huge impact, not only in the people running it, but the people who benefit from it. So I think that would be cool to do.
So you think that you would set up like a foundation, and then that would be the kind of
Yeah,
work that found some of the kind of work that foundation would then get into? I mean, obviously, it would be like a great tax break for you then, right?
I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah.
Setting up a foundation,
hmm
counteract
I wasn't
some of the
thinking about that,
wealth.
but that's smart. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you
Hey,
inherit
maybe I
millions
do
of
know business.
dollars, if you inherit millions of dollars, the tax man's going to come after you. So, but yeah, a website where people can go and sign up to apply and say, "Hey, look, this is a legitimate tournament for charity. Here's my permit. Here's the organization. They're legitimate. They really need the funds." And then yeah, that would be cool.
That's way cool.
And then pay somebody to run it for me, so I didn't have to do it. But I could show up and say, "Good job."
I think there'd be a lot of people that would love that.
hmm
Lots of people would be well suited for that foundation, all those
hmm
necessary positions.
I'd probably find somebody retired that still wants to contribute to society, and you know, just to give them that extra motivation. That my dad is kind of, I wouldn't say afraid to retire, but he doesn't know what he's going to do. And so he said he might get a job as a greeter. I'm like, are you serious? He said, yeah. I was like, what do you do when you don't have anything to do? And I said, well, you fish. he said,
That's
well,
right.
he said, well, yeah, but there's only so much fishing you can do day after day after day after day. I said, I get it. It does get old, especially when you fish in the same areas, the same, every day. Um, but give somebody who's retired, hey, this is something you can do. It's going to mean a lot to people, and you can put a little extra salary in your change in your bank to do whatever you want. So that would be cool. All right, number 3, Mike.
Well, you kind of touched on it right there at the end.
Yay.
My number 3 is that I would assemble a fishing staff for myself, and and probably for Trish too. So that way we could utilize this staff and travel around, fish different rivers, uh, other reservoirs, possibly even in other countries. I mean, obviously Canada's not that far away, and it's loaded with lakes and fish. Um, eh, it it goes without saying, the first thing that I told Trish if I won the lotto is, well, maybe it doesn't go without saying, but, I'll say that, the first thing that came out of my mouth was that Spencer Bauer would be my fishing guide for the rest of our life. And what I meant by that
That's
was
not weird at all.
he doesn't wanna stay here, let's say, and why not? We've got endless amount of money now. If he decides, "Hey, man, let's go fish the Columbia River. I heard there's this spot in this river I really wanna check out," or, you go to all these other places you think about. I'm not saying that I'm the kinda guy who could survive in the Amazon for any amount of time, but you know what? I have an endless amount of money, so that means that I would change the situation, you know? There would be an airport built there, or there would be an airplane waiting,
Or a
at
helicopter.
my yeah, there'd be helicopters, there'd be everything, to make everything a whole lot easier for me and then for him, but we would still get to fish that. So that
Mhm.
would be pretty cool. So that was my idea. Now, this staff would actually require several people because let's face it, we're family orientated. So I'm not saying that I'm going to completely dominate one person's time the whole time. And there are people that know other areas of the country a whole lot better than some people may know them. And then let's face it, beyond that, we all want to fish together anyway. I mean, I want to fish with Dieter Melhorn.
Mhm.
He's in a different part of the country. I want to fish with you. You're not anywhere near my part of the country, and we talk about that, and we enjoy all this interaction. We love the live streams. We love the online tournaments. We love this podcast. We love everybody that we get to chat with, and all of those different things. But it all boils down to they always end up saying, "Man, I really wanna fish with you."
Mhm.
So this creates that, at least for me and Trish, who I know would be all in. She would be like, "Yep, I want part of that,
Mhm.
portion of the show here." And I think that there would be a great opportunity and that I would hear from our friends like you and Dieter and our friends on the Potomac and the James, like you said, you know, uh, to take advantage of this, So that's what I wrote down. Fishing staff, a travel staff, and definitely, local waters as well. I really don't see myself leaving Iowa anytime on a full-time basis, but I would certainly leave for a few days, just like I went to Kentucky and had a blast, and we didn't even fish,
Mhm.
but there's all that water right there, and I'm just like, "Ooh." I was like, "Yeah, if I won the lotto, I'd change this experience," and we'd get to fish too, but I would want my people with me, you know? I would
Yeah.
want all of you with me in those areas, that's what I would want, so
Mhm.
it wouldn't be just an experience for me, it'd be experience for all.
Mhm. I would like to, um, obviously I talked about pulling the boat around, but I definitely would want to hit, you know, cool spots and do a lot of camping and spontaneous things. Like if somebody says, "Oh man, the bite is on," in Tennessee, then I want to drive to Tennessee and I want to put the boat in and I want to go do it. So traveling around the country, um, definitely. I know it's kind of like my first answer, but just to be more specific, like I watch Outdoor Boys a lot, and even though he's got his kids with him, he does some really cool things. And some of the spots, like one of the spots I want to fish with you and Mexicat and Trish is I want to go to that island in Tennessee that he went to, where him and I think it was Nathan or Tommy I don't know which boy. It was one of the boys, and they went there and they camped for like 3 days, and they caught these massive mirror carp off from the bank, and they just had a great time. It's looked fun, Yes, it's camping. I know you don't really do camping, but that's something that I've been wanting to do. Like that's me. Like I love going out, setting up the tent, and just not necessarily roughing it. I mean, you got the grill out there, you got the porta potty out there, you got all that stuff. But just living that experience, like you're there to fish, and you're gonna have a line in the water the whole time, and that's it. You don't have to really worry about anything else. And me and Anna are actually going to Lake Murray to Dreer Island over spring break, and we'll be there Sunday night through Thursday morning. And our campsite is right there on the bank, so we can just throw the rod in and sit there and fish all day. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I would want to do that. Travel around. I'd have a boat big enough, obviously, to have an enclosure for it. Nice, comfortable fold out beds on there, and I just travel the country, camp out in the boat and on islands and stuff like that. That's kind of that's kind of what I hope the YouTube thing turns into. I'm not going to quit my job unless I win the Powerball, but I never play. I never play, so I can't win. But
I don't play
you
very
know,
often.
so whenever the YouTube gets to that point, I'm probably going to be retired, which isn't it's only 10 or 11 years away, but um that's what I plan to do. We just plan to travel a lot and just keep it simple and camp out and fish. That's it. That's my number 4.
One question about that.
Hmm.
Does Anna get to retire the same time that you do?
We'll see.
Yeah.
No, by the time I retire, I'll have um, South Carolina retirement is pretty good. So they take the average of your top paying 3 years, and you earn 50% of that. So by that time, I'll be at the top of the principal game, hopefully, and we'll be able to live modestly. So that's the hope anyway. That's the dream.
Sounds good.
Number 4,
Sounds good.
Mikael.
Well, I think that once I got past these first few in my mind, because I've been putting it together in my mind ever since I
Mhm,
asked you, because I knew I'm like, oh, I got to get organized. I figured that at some point I was gonna have to start getting more and more specific.
mhm,
And I felt like my first one was specific, but then after that, I felt I was a little bit, generic or
mhm.
vague, maybe was a better word, a little vague. Um, my number 4 is that since I've invested in these fishing companies, I I definitely would try to organize that all so that way everybody everybody got like a fair shot at it. Now by that I mean you look at how some of these companies have come along and then gone away, or come along and then it's kind of changed, or come along and the next thing you know they're they're working with or absorbed by another company.
Mhm,
um I just I feel like some of that has been really awesome, and then sometimes you're just like, "Hey, whatever happened to this?"
mhm,
And it's gone. And you thought it was so cool when you were younger, and it's gone. So what I'm saying is that I would have to influence these companies s to think that way, and it's not just what I want, because, I was even at Bass Pro Shops yesterday. And they have some spring deal going. I forget what they call it. They have a spring sale going on, and so I got a couple of personal flotation devices and a different life jacket for Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
She's so much taller now than she even was a year ago, and all those things have weight ratings and everything. So I want to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found out that that pond is a whole lot deeper than I thought. I
Really
measured it. I measured a spot, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's about like 8, 14. 8 goes to 14." Well, then part of it went to 20, and I heard that there's 28-foot holes in there somewhere, but I just don't
nice.
know. I don't know where they're at yet,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna find them. And then Kristen's like, "You can't even swim. Maybe you should have a personal flotation device in case you go in and
Mm.
get out there." I'm like, "Yeah, that's a really good
Thanks,
idea."
honey.
And
So you're
and
at
also
Bass
too,
Pro
I wouldn't
Shop.
want my kids out there. So I was at Bass Pro Shops,
Uh,
and this customer comes along, and I'm talking to my friend that I've known since grade school who works there now, and I shouldn't even say lifelong friend. I mean, he's my brother. I'd do anything for him.
mm-hmm.
And so I'm talking to him, and the guy's like, "Hey, where's this item?" And he's like, "Oh, they stopped making those 2 years ago." And all of us were disappointed because all of us remembered it from our childhood, and this guy had been using this item for years,
Mm-hmm.
as had my brother there, and, so we're all just had that sour look on our face, and we're all bobbing our heads like, "Man, what a shame," you know? And I'm sure there's reasons, but, hey, if they don't wanna make that kind of item, maybe my companies would wanna make that kinda item. Maybe it's a little bit too
That'd be cool.
nostalgic, but, there's some people
I see
talk
what you're
all the
saying
time.
now.
People talk all the time about old school tactics, old school this and that, before Navionics and whatever. Well, what about old school tackle that was really, really good? Some of it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it never comes back. So me, I'd kind of want to do that. Just makes me feel good. It's like I eat mac and cheese every now and then because it makes me feel like a kid. I eat bologna and cheese because it makes me feel like a kid. I love tater tots because they make me feel like a kid.
I like that for like the old Tupperware. Like I wish people would make the old Tupperware again.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
like your mom had in the '80s.
And
You know,
it still works, although
the
pretty
stuff
soon
is
the plastic, like,
indestructible.
starts to crack, and then your favorite Tupperware bowl's gone. I mean,
Yeah,
that's gut
that
wrenching,
was
it
it
really
though. I
is.
mean, because you could literally, those things are thick, and you could take the top off one of those, and it was a bowl immediately.
Yep,
Now people say that
immediately.
you can eat out of the current Tupperware, but you microwave that junk too long, and it's like
It's warped, yep.
holding it's holding paper. You know, you got pasta in a paper shaped bowl or a bowl shaped paper.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool. Get some of the companies and just kind of invest in the tooling
yeah,
so that they can make that. Maybe they can buy the patent or
yeah,
renew the patent or whatever. That's cool. That's a nifty idea. Number 5 for me. Well, I want to get a little more specific about gear. Um, we've talked about the big things. The big things we've already invested back into, the industry. We've invested into charity work. We've done the good guy stuff. Let's talk about what we really want for rods and reels and tackle. Um, and I'm kind of going to pose this question to you, but I'm going to answer it first. Would you continue to test out new rods, or would you buy a bunch of one that you really love? That's tough, isn't it? That's a tough one. Or would you do both? Since money's no object. But I'm trying to think. I want to get to a point where all my rods are the same and all my reels are the same, so that everything is identical whenever I'm fishing. Because a bite on one rod, looks different on another. And I've had over this YouTube journey, even at CatCon, I heard it. hey man, you need to pick a rod, man. Pick a rod. My dad tells me I need to pick a rod. Everybody says pick a rod and go with it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know which one I like the best. I like different ones for different situations, and um, I've narrowed it down to two types. I need a dragging rod and I need an anchor rod, and those, and a suspending rod. So I guess three types. So I think that I would invest in eight of each. Eight um, dragging rods, eight spinning or anchor rods, and eight suspending rods. And I would definitely get matching reels for all of them. Matching line. I would go ahead and stockpile my line so I never have to worry about it. I would stockpile my hooks, stockpile all my tackle so that I always have it in stock. It's always there. I don't have to worry about it. And then do the same thing with batteries and remotes and things that you don't really think about, bug spray and all that kind of stuff. All my camping gear, I would go ahead and load up on all my MREs and things like that, just so that I have a stockpile and I'm ready to go. What about you?
I don't want to call anybody out, but what popped into my mind when you said some people told me you need to pick a rod. Now you did mention your dad specifically,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say anything about Papa Palmetto, Papa Cat,
Well,
but
he believes the reason, and I'll go ahead and defend my dad. He believes what I just said. Like, you need to a 5 pound fish needs to feel the same on all your rods, and you need to be able to know what a small bite looks like on all your rods. It needs to be the same, or else it's going to impact your hookup ratio. So that's his belief.
okay. Well, that did just answer what I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask why, and I always say I hate to disagree, but then I always disagree.
Disagree,
Now,
man.
here's what I'm going to say. I think that you can benefit massively by having the same reel
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
on each of the rods. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm the total devil's advocate here, but that to me, in all of the rods and reels that I've purchased, having the same reel on there and set appropriately, adjusted accordingly, to me, that has helped me the best. Now, I'm not good at logging that kind of data, and to be quite honest, having been a carp fisherman for this many years, if they bit, I would say probably my hookup ratio is probably like 99.5%. But
Mm-hmm.
carp is a different fish. Most of the time they pick it up and they move with it and they go a long, long way. They don't bite at it. They inhale it, and then next thing you know, they move 50 yards away from where it was. So the chances of that hook getting them, if they go that far, highly likely.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another thing too. I really, really believe in very good hooks. So I'm all about the hook, and
Mm-hmm.
and I do agree that the having the similar rod setup probably does increase that hookup ratio. I mean, the more I think
Mm-hmm.
about it, the more I'm agreeing with you on
Mm-hmm.
that. But doesn't that kind of take the fun out of trying new stuff?
It
And
definitely
here's
takes the wind out of your gear nuts like
yeah.
brain.
But like you said, since you are trying to get down and get specific like that, You've been searching. That's the purpose of your purchasing.
Absolutely.
And you have found, maybe you have not found the one final answer to each of those three questions: dragging,
Mhm.
anchoring, and suspending rods. But I guarantee you that you have found what you do not want,
Oh yeah.
and that is equally as valuable.
That very
So,
valuable.
not that I'm trying to sit here and justify to everybody why it is that I budget and spend as much money as I do on things, or your budget and what you're
Mhm.
spending, but definitely, um, that is a really good idea. And I will say this: I accept the challenge. I really do, and I do
What
feel
was the challenge again?
the challenge is to try to pick to pick your specific gear and then remain true to it and and do that. Now, I do have different needs than you, which is
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
And it definitely
Well,
you
that brings
mentioned your
another thing in too, like with this camping thing that I've started doing, I'm gonna need some bank rods too. So,
yep,
that's another rod right there.
yep. I uh I have been thinking for the last several years and organizing myself, trying to figure out which rods I'm going to have set up, what reels are going to be on them. And over the last several years, I have rotated through quite a few rods. And I've rotated through a couple different reel companies as well.
Mhm.
And I feel I'm slowly starting to narrow that down. I think right now, if you asked me, hey, if you had to pick one company and use their spinning reels and don't use anybody else's, I think that I have it down to two companies.
Mhm.
And to me, that's startling because I would never even thought that way 5 years ago, and maybe
So
not even 3 years.
with your money, would you do that? Would you say, "All right, I'm gonna buy all the same type of reel, and I'm gonna do it." Not
I
that you
think I
couldn't do it
could.
now,
I think
but
I. Oh, well, trust me, I'm getting pretty close to that too. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
I think so. And me being who I am now that I'm, you know, big money Mike, I probably would think about buying that company or at least investing in it
Right.
and
There you
then
go. Now you're
trying to
talking.
give them trying to help them hear the voice.
Like telling PC Fun, make different color chaoses. I mean, come on.
The
People
chaos is
want the real.
perfect.
Make different colors, PC Fun.
You could make different colors every other year. You don't have to do it every year. You could do it every other year.
I know, I've
You
told them.
know, I understand it's a production expense. I know it's a change. But you know what? I don't know if the chaos could end up being the Zebco 33
Mhm.
of round reels. But you know what? I don't fish with a Zebco 33 anymore because I don't want to look at the same thing anymore.
Mhm.
I want different colors, and they've done it. They make different reels, different colors, this, that, the other. If Zebco can do it, you can do that with
They're
the
making bank on them reels too, man. Like
yeah, they should.
I I mean, they can do a different production color.
Yeah.
Start off with green PC Fun. That's all I'm saying.
Here's
And
here's
send me
another
8
thing
of
that I
them.
want to say, and I'm not picking on PC Fun. Another thing I want to say about them. You look at their team jerseys on their website, and they are gorgeous. Stunning color combinations of white, red, blue with a little black accenting. And then I think the other one is more red and white. I
Mhm.
mean, these things are gorgeous. Hold that image up and then hold the image of the PC Fun Chaos next to it. Then you'll see why we're saying you should make these in other colors.
Saying.
One pops right off the
I
screen. Pop.
guarantee if they changed that blue with orange, they would sell out. I mean, they already sell out of the blue all the time, just
And
because it's a good reel.
I'm crazy about colors. I mean, I don't think that my eyes see things like other
Mm-hmm.
people's eyes see things, especially colors.
Mm-hmm.
Not colorblind, but maybe I'm like color crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that you should take the black part of the reel and make it white and then put other colors on. I mean, go crazy. Why not?
I don't know. I don't
Do
know about
something
white.
crazy.
Because think of that Bass Pro Shop reel,
What Bass Pro Shop were you?
the one that Steve Douglas uses.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
the Cat
The
Max.
Cat
Yeah,
Max.
it's white doesn't do. But I see what you're saying.
I'm
Like
just saying you do
change the
something totally
black.
different. Yeah, change
Yeah,
it. Do something. Change something. And
I would buy up to 3 years worth of reels. I would buy a set of green ones, a set of orange ones, and then whatever
and
blue
I
ones,
don't have to win
well
the
red
Powerball
ones.
to do it.
I don't either.
I
I
would
would
do
do
that
it.
right now. I
And
would
then
do that
so
right now.
with my matching rods, I would have the three different colors, so I know which ones. I wouldn't have to read medium, heavy, medium, or whatever. Just saying, PC fun. Get your act together.
There's good ideas to be had,
Telling you,
This is one of
telling
them.
you.
This certainly
Mm-hmm.
is one of them.
All right. So next thing here. One thing that I neglected to talk about gear wise, and it's probably one of the more expensive things you can buy, is the fish finders. Right. So I would definitely get some kind of live imaging, whether it's the Mega Live, the Super Live, or the whatever live, whichever one. I don't know which one's hottest right now, but definitely get one of the live ones, probably the low rants. Um, and then I would have three or four 12-inch monitors mounted on that tri-tune. And each of them, one would be for mapping, one would be for live scope, one would be for down scan, one would be for side scan. So five. I need five. One, one would be for uh whatever I missed, sonar, I guess. Um, and then I would definitely have one a 12-incher mounted up in the front of the boat so that I wouldn't have to walk back. And
hmm
then I'd have one mounted at the back of the boat, kind of like Steve has his setup. He's got one in the back of the boat now. Definitely get all those electronics down. Make sure I had some lithium batteries, all lithium batteries, so that I can keep the weight down, but have enough power to run the boat for days, weeks off
Yeah.
of off of one charge. Um, Definitely, I would have my lighting situation to where I could have a flick of a switch,
Well,
and
and since money's no object, we might actually mount some solar panels to your boat somewhere,
yeah,
so that way
solar panels on the boat. I'm
you can
telling you,
be out there longer.
yep, solar panels. Um, you know, as long as I didn't run out of fuel, make sure I had plenty of fuel capacity on there. Like this tri-tune is going to be heavy, but it's going to be big and it's going to sit up out the water. And those tri-tunes, man, I've seen them do 50 miles an hour out on the water. So I want a freaking barge, but not a houseboat. I don't want to fish out of a houseboat because it's too awkward. I still want to be mobile. I still want to be agile. Still
hmm
want to be able to turn on a dime. So 25-foot tri-tune with all that stuff, lights, accessories. Fold down couches so we can sleep if we need to. Plenty of storage. Maybe two 350s. One on each tune on the back. I don't know. I mean, money's no option. But definitely the electronics. That's something that has changed the
Yeah.
game. And definitely if I'm visiting new waters, I want to be able to map those waters quickly and see what I'm doing, and definitely get into more, um, you know, multi-species angling at that point. I would definitely um, I would switch to YouTube live. I'd be live all the time. I
Hmm.
wouldn't do any videos. Even though I enjoy the videos, I don't want to be traveling so much. I just want to be live and people can just share the experience with me. And I wouldn't really care about YouTube revenue if I had all this money. So it'd just be, watch or not. Here we are. you know, and I'd still be able to, like, continue with the ministry part of it, which is really important, um, and not have to worry about all the logistics and the editing and the whatever drama could be out there waiting on me. It's just all about God and fishing, family, friends, and fun. Definitely a big Blackstone grill mounted on the side. Yeah.
Yeah, I I know you said that you had just got that, but it made me smile
Hmm.
that you said that you got one. So the uh, the boat the boat list that you mentioned in your
Hmm.
number one response,
Hmm.
I'm very interested in the saltwater setup. Are you talking like a tuna fishing boat or way bigger?
Yeah, like a big tuna fishing boat. Um, not obviously not a commercial one,
Yeah,
but like a falcon or a bounty hunter or something like, or I'm sorry, those are boat names, but like a Torres or something like that. I haven't really got into them too
yeah,
much to figure it out, but definitely twin diesel engines on it. The teak decking, the fighting chair, all that stuff. I probably wouldn't get
mhm,
into the big sword fishing stuff, and the sail fishing. I mean, that looks really fun, and I say I wouldn't get into it, but you know, you you fight one for the first time, and then you might be sold on it. But I think it's more about the experience for me, like setting sail, being a traveler is really something I've always been attracted to.
I think it's awesome as you look back and since we're getting close to the hour,
Mm.
I'm not gonna beg to go to number six here. Mainly too because you've really got me stuck thinking about this number five, but also to the timing. I like how when we compare what we say we will do, I am still of the opinion that I need somebody to handle the boat for me. And, and you're like, me and Anna are gonna be out there and we're gonna do our thing and we'll be organized and this is how I want it laid down. And the whole time I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do the boat. I don't want to drive. I don't want to this and that or whatever. I just want to relax and go with the flow. And so I think that's pretty humorous.
Yeah, I mean that's basically for the freshwater.
Yeah.
Saltwater is a whole different beast because you got to keep those boats clean and it's constant maintenance all the time. So definitely hire a crew
So you think
for
you'd have
for the
proof? Okay.
saltwater. Yeah, because those big boats, even docking those big boats, is hard to do. I got a buddy that I go to church with that has one of those big tuna boats, and they do competitive sail fishing and marlin fishing. And just watching him, I've seen videos on his Instagram. It's called the Man Cave. You want to check that out on Instagram. But his name's Billy, and him and his wife, I went to college with her, and they go out offshore sail fishing, sport fishing. They do these giant, $100,000 tournaments. I don't even know how much they are. I'm just imagining they're really expensive. But I remember, Billy probably doesn't remember, but I remember when I was in college and he was, I think he was finishing up his master's degree, be an accountant or something like that. But me and a buddy of mine, Thomas, we were wanting to go fishing on his boat. He had some kind of 35-foot something or other. We don't even know what it was. He went offshore, and we're like, "Hey, man, can we go?" They're like, "Sure, sure, sure. You want to pay for the fuel or the ice?" It's like, definitely the ice. It's like, all right, well, that's $300. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I mean, you got to keep the fish cool while you're out there. And we're like, never mind. we're poor college kids. We thought the ice, hey, man, we're gonna 15, $20. We're gonna
Yeah,
be
a
good to
couple
go.
bags.
Yeah. Get a couple 20. You know what? I'll do some 20-pound bags. Just throw them in there. Nope, $300. I was like, all right, y'all have fun out there.
Yeah.
The fuel or the ice? Thought I was being slick by saying the ice. But that was back when, you know, fuel was a dollar to a gallon. So basically fuel and ice were about the same price, bags of ice. Isn't that crazy to think?
I think the first time that I put gas into a vehicle was because my brother let me borrow his car,
Hmm.
and I wanted to be very nice because he had never done that before, nor do I think that he wanted to do that then. And I put premium gas into it because I just wanted to be
Ooh.
real complimentary. And of course, to that, he responded, "What'd you do that for? You wasted like 20 extra cents per gallon because the engine doesn't need that kind of gas." And it was 90, I think it was 93 cents a gallon or something. It was
Hmm.
ridiculously cheap, or I don't know.
I
Maybe
remember when I got my pickup truck, I distinctly remember the Circle K at the time, which was by, you know, the exit to my neighborhood. It was 79 cents a gallon. 70 and $5 would give you half a tank,
that's crazy to think of it
you
that
know.
way.
Now that was one specific time, but I don't ever remember gas under a dollar
You filled up your truck this
after
week?
that. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I
I had to put three
think it was
quarters
like
of a tank in
85
there.
$85 or something like
Yeah.
that. No, that's what it was. Yeah, I was at Spinks and I had 15 cents off a gallon because I bought a couple sodas. And so it was like 384 a gallon. Now it's 401. But it would cost me 78 something or other for three quarters of it because it cuts you off at 20 gallons.
Yep.
But yeah, we're we're all dealing with that, and hopefully they'll level out and start coming back down. But we'll just have to we'll add that in the prayer tonight.
Yeah, the price of fuel, definitely changes the price of just about everything else,
Hmm.
because of the necessary distribution networks and everything. It carries everything around. And
Yeah,
I got to tell you, once I start getting out there and catching some fish, I'm not going to care very much about it.
yeah. I try
I'm gonna
not to.
want to have
I
that
tr-
inner peace of catching fish again.
I'm thankful that I'm privileged enough to where I've worked hard enough and God's blessed me enough to where I don't sweat the gas too much
Yeah,
at this time. But if it
yeah.
gets up to them $6, $7 price tags like out there in California, then old Kevin might start sweating a little bit.
I think that I'm very blessed to live very close to good places to fish. So I'm very, very thankful about that. And I fish off the bank, so I don't have
Yeah, I
any
might be a
boat
bank
gas
angler.
fee. Uh, Back when I had a pontoon, of course I just drifted around. I didn't really drive very far. It really made the gas last pretty good. The people with the real expense here are probably the ones with the jets on them.
Hmm.
Those things chew gas.
Yeah, usually if I go to the lake and I do a lot of dragging, I don't burn too much gas, but the river eats it up because I have to travel, 5 to 8 miles to get to where I want to
Yep.
fish. So, but anyway, y'all, we thank you for listening. We had a fun show, and we hope you guys liked it. If you do like it, be sure to head on over to Palmetto Cats YouTube channel, Murillo Family Fishing YouTube channel. See some interviews with Lauren. They just put up a couple videos this past week. Went live fishing too. It was pretty fun. And check out the Real Deal Fishing Podcast YouTube channel. And, give us some love over there. You can find all of our old podcasts and you can watch them as well. So go check us out. Give us some love. We appreciate everybody who listens. And that's about it. We're going to wrap it up with a prayer as we always do. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity to come together and talk about your wonderful creation and the fact that we get to enjoy it and fish it. And Lord, we don't need to win the lotto to appreciate your country, Lord, your earth. But Lord, we just praise you for the blessings that you've given us to be able to enjoy it. Lord, we pray for our country. We pray for our leadership. We pray for people in Ukraine, and we pray for Russia too. We pray for uh, Putin, Lord, that he would change his ways and that we would get out of this war. And Lord, we just pray for peace. We pray that lives would be saved and lives would be changed, and Lord, that we could find some kind of common ground back here at home. We thank you for all you're going to do, and we give you all the glory for it. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, everybody. Mike, have a good night. Everybody else, until next time, happy fishing.